on 623 Massachusetts Avenue. Hold on. Right here. There she go. I'll never forget what she looked like. Right there.
3. That's the house right there.
See that 623?
Yeah.
Never forget what she looked like. That's her right there.
During my early times, I was born in 1949, so, going outside, running up and down the street, playing with your friends, that's what kids would do. However, the neighborhood was a very dangerous neighborhood in terms of the brothers, even the sisters, knowing how to use their hands.
Growing up in a time when the street guys were called underworld figures, Nabal, his brothers, and mother experienced real hardship in the city while living in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. His mother, May, was a single parent who taught her children to be respectful as well as fearless.
My mother was strapped, and it was hardship right there because she couldn't go to work. And she had no money to hire people to babysit because even with my mother, my grandmother, and my grandfather living, we were still poor. I was already going out to the street doing my little thing. I started going to the fountain. DC got a lot of fountains. They still got those fountains. They still up, news station, a library, Congress, Supreme Court, reflective pool, flower garden, which is called botanical garden, and what the tourists used to do when they used to come through the city, they used to throw silver dollars, 50-cent pieces, some of them fountains, man, they were like, especially the one at Union Station, the one at the Capitol, they used to be covered with just silver dollars, man. You couldn't even see the bottom of them, man. It'd be so many of them in there, so nice. And I had learned how to swim in the Anacostia River. I had a good friend of mine, two of them, to teach me how to swim in the Anacostia River, so it wasn't never to swim in the pools. I had take off my clothes, jump in one of the pools, go under the water. And when I come up, I might have about 50 to 100 silver dollars. That was a bankroll back then.
Eventually ending up on law enforcement's radar, Nabal will be sent to a juvenile facility named Maple Glen and then to Cedar Knoll, where he will become even more educated in his street life. From that point on, he was in the deep waters full time with the Sharks. After Nabal escaped from the Cedar Knoll facility for a second time, he made his way back into D.C. and ended up at the house of a well-known guy named Big Luke. Big Luke allowed Nabal to lay low there for a while.
608 3rd Street, right there. That's that vicious house that you read about. Right there. I was at his brother's house. Alfred.
His brother stayed at 609.
He stayed at 609, he stayed at 603.
Hey, how it feel coming back out here? You had to come out, huh?
I had to come out, man. Look.
Yeah.
Right here. 608. We
Cut
came
you
into
down.
the back of the alley.
Okay.
After we robbed Union Station. We came through the back.
Damn, it was that narrow back then too? It was always
that narrow.
Oh, wow.
But once you go to the back, you'll see where the back door is to the right. This was my neighborhood, man.
This was it, huh?
I stayed there.
Yeah.
Big Luke took care of me. 608, man. Yeah. Alpha looked out for me at 609. I stayed down in the basement. They got a basement. Yeah. A lot of memories, man. A lot of memories.
Knowing he needed money, Nabal got his guns that he had stashed, and then he and his cousin-in-law robbed a bank together in Seat Pleasant, Maryland, and split the money down the middle. And while the feds was on his tail searching for him, he would go on to hit another spot, a loan company in Northeast. And then Nabal snuck to see his mother to drop off some money and ended up being spotted by the cops. He was captured and sent back to the jail. After settling in back at Cedar Knoll, he would receive the worst news possible, that his mother, who battled with health issues, passed away at the young age of 42. Her passing made Nabal temporarily hit rock bottom, dabbling with some of the hardest drugs once he was back on the streets.
That was like, when she passed, part of my heart went in the grave, man. It just, I was unleashed then, you know. She was basically holding me in check, you know. She was trying her best. She couldn't stop the hustling, but she kept me under control, you know. And I think before she had died, I believe I had robbed a couple. I know I had robbed a bank because I remember giving her some of that bank money. I think I had robbed a loan company. I might have given her some of that. But I think she knew I was, you know, robbing people when I was out there, you know. And she used to try to talk to me, but it wouldn't help. So when she passed, I started robbing the loan company and bank or payroll or something every day. You know, it was just like that. It was every day. It wasn't nothing wrong with that. But, you know, I didn't even put no value on my life at that point. So I started using drugs, you know, a whole lot more. I went from cocaine to heroin. First time I used drugs intravenously. I took it I OD'd. I died. Actually, I died. They put me like that. Like they had worked on me in the house. And my pulse, when they couldn't get a pulse, they took me out to the playground down the street from the house where I was staying, and they took off all my clothes, and they was leaving me there, you know. And then I guess one of them just didn't give up. So man, I think we can bring him back, you know. So he got back on me, so he tore my fingernails out, sticking the file up in there, trying to hit my nerves, you know, and pounding on my chest, and then I just came back, and I came out of.
We have not even mentioned organized crime. It is not the really big criminals people are afraid of nowadays. In this federal city, it is the smooth-faced teenagers who slug and mug and hold up.
It was the 1960s. Cocaine and heroin was heavy in the city. You had hustlers, gambling spots, and stick-up kids roaming them DC streets. Speaking of stick-up kids, right before he overdosed, Nabal and a few others robbed Union Station's payroll and walked away with $90,000 each, which would be equivalent to $800,000 today.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
April 4th, 1968, Dr. King was assassinated. The D.C. residents hit the streets angry. Things began to heat up, literally. Businesses were burnt down. Lives were lost. America as a whole took an L that day. Nabal that year was he kicked his heroin habit for good at 19 years old, regaining his strength by working out and becoming physically fit. This is the new DC jail today, constructed in 1976. And here's a picture of the old DC jail, considered at the time to be escape-proof. Nabal and many other well-known guys like Cadillac Smith, Mace Brown, all escaped from this institution. 8 total inmates. This is the old jail.
Old jail right here. Look. Right here, where this brick wall is at. I came off the corner from down here where you see these flowers at. This where the fence used to be at. The wall was there. There was a double fence line.
Okay.
Right here. So I came off the corner where you couldn't see me. It was over here. Came over here. I scaled 2 fences. First one was just barbed wire, second one was barbed wire and razor wire.
Yeah.
And I shot right down through this alley here. We're gonna go through this alley. This is where I made my escape at, man.
Right down this alley.
Yeah. Came right down this alley, man.
Some of the escapees were killed while free at a later time. The others were captured at different times. Cadillac was murdered by an inmate later on down the line at Marion. And just days later, there was a hostage takeover at the jail. Eugene Cutt, who was supposed to escape with Nabal and the others, was a part of the takeover.
Okay, we was in DC jail, and a lot of us in there, you understand, some of us facing big time. Some of us already had big time. But we always during that particular area, escape was always seemed like first on the agenda, first and foremost. So a couple of us got together, and moves was made for us to be able to have our hands access to a gun. So once we had access on the gun, we felt then that we had a good upper hand, a good opportunity to escape. So we took the opportunity with the pistol to take over our unit first, which was CB1. So once we took that down, we were able, you understand, to get keys, the access, you understand, to the hallways, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So again, police uniforms was real good to us, because then we had the control center that we had to like try to command. So we had ones dressed out, you understand, to get into the control man center. So we took the control man center over. You see what I'm saying? Now one brother, you understand, that had access to the weapon, he decided that he was gonna go out the institution. He was gonna get the escort truck. He was gonna come back, and he was gonna load us in the escort truck, and this is how we was gonna, really finish our escape. However, this brother, you understand, had a lot of larceny and treachery in his heart. So when him and his co-friend did get outside, they pretty much kept going. So now we left in the jail. I'm left in the jail along with my comrades with hostages. So now the situation is coming real critical. So by that time, you understand, the alarm pretty much went up. We was able to get to the records of the apartment. And we destroyed many of our records we possibly could. And we had a handful of hostages. So we had to now go through a negotiation. And negotiation that we went through, you understand, was real, a serious, life-threatening situation. But by that time, they had the jail surrounded, I imagine, by every agency probably to the district number. So we had hostages, and we allowed them up on the 5th floor. We put loops in over rafters. We put sheets and things around their neck, and we wanted to be well known that if you rush this jail and kill any of us, them hostages are going over. You know what I'm saying? So that kept, you understand, them at bay for the longest.
Corrupted D.C. employees became delivery boys, say federal investigators, smuggling heroin, crack, and pot for a drug ring operating out of a Lorton cell.
You can smell marijuana in different places down Lorton. You can go purchase in different places.
Nearly 20 grand jury indictments portray a chemical candy store open at all hours to all comers. Authorities say Henry Little Man James, a killer convicted in a freeway shooting attack, acted as enforcer for the gang of 3 inmates and 2 employees.
Used the Lorton mailroom to introduce drugs into the prison, bribed public officials.
The U.S. Attorney says this should be a warning of swift and stiffer punishment.
The crime bill increases penalties for assaults that occur at Lorton, and it also contains a death penalty under certain circumstances.
Although big, it was just one criminal enterprise. Prosecutors say they're also probing management ranks for other crimes, including fraud.
Lorton was one of the most vicious institutions of its day. Murders, drugs, rapes, and much more went down in Lorton. They closed the doors, or rather cells, for good in 2001.
Good. Where these houses used to be the infirmary. You know, infirmary used to set all the way with the last house down there. That was the infirmary. It's a big building down there. And right across from the infirmary, they had a dormitory down there for the sick. Okay. Now this used to be the main gun tower. This is Lorton Reformatory. Infamous, notorious, the Hill, AKA the Hill. Mm-hmm. And the fence line used to swing out right around this road here in front of these condos over here. They burnt it down. They built it back up. You can see the bricks, the new bricks on these buildings. Because they had a riot here in the 1989 when they burned these buildings down, because this is where the record office used to be at. You know.
Flames from the burning prison shot into the sky over Lorton, Virginia early this morning. Officials said prisoners had set the fires one after another in a planned effort to burn down the entire institution, even going so far as to pack up beforehand. Inmates fled the smoke and flames to an open baseball field on the grounds. Shortly after daybreak, one prisoner stabbed another, and a group of 100 tried to rush the guards.
Now over here, this was the gym. That's a housing unit, and there was several units in there. You know, this used to be the gym right here. You know, this was the gymnasium. That's where I should get my tomb in there. That's where my tomb was held there. There's some pictures inside of some of my members and everything that I'll share with you. You know. Yeah. This is where the hole used to be. I got it locked. Beg your pardon?
What was this called again?
This was called the Hollow. It was notoriously known as the Hollow. I have a book out about this whole property down here. Yeah, it's history. A lot of history. It's very powerful. Education. Got my life in there. Capitol Hill.
So that, I guess a lot of people was without jobs after Lorton closed.
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
So some of them probably came up from the city, maybe.
Lorton was infamous though, man. It was notorious. They had an article in the paper with about 600 of the COs that was working down here had records. Some of them had felony offenses and everything.
Damn.
That's why there was so much corruption down here.
Right.
You know, and the majority of the people, COs working down here, male and female, they were like living in DC.
Okay.
So they had that DC mentality. I kept 7 or 8 of them on my payroll. I took care of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one of them brought me 2
book.
guns in. They used to bring my weed in. They used to bring my heroin in, my cocaine in, you know. And I paid them what they wanted. And a lot of them didn't want a whole lot because I had befriended them. They had befriended me. And you know, the one that brought the guns in for me, he was like a brother. I never mentioned his name. He might be still living. You know?
Yeah, there was one from your book that actually came. I guess he came to you because he was doing bad and asked to borrow some money.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's the guy.
That's not, Corporal Graham. That's not his real name.
Okay, yeah, you had to change that.
Yeah, all the officers' names, except for the ones that that wasn't on my side. That wasn't working for me. The ones that were working for me, I changed their name. You know, the ones that wasn't working for me, I used their real name. Administration, all the wardens, the deputy wardens, all them real names. You could Google them people.
M.L. Brown.
Yep, that was my man. That was my man, M.L. Brown, him and Benny Hodges. Yeah. I met M.L. Brown right behind that wall. Yep. Yes, I did, 79. That's when we became friends. Somebody stole a big pair of shears. He was getting ready to shake down the whole compound back there and take all the, he knew a lot of us had contraband. I had a big old contraband, radio, color TV, JVC, frying pan, 2 frying pan, a skillet, you know, 50 gallons of wine, brewing up on the roof. I said, man, why don't you let me go find it for you? I said, because if you search for it, you don't find it. I said, that's gonna be on your jacket. Before you alert anybody that somebody came up in here and took them shears up off your desk, let me go seek it, and I found it.
Oh yeah.
Man, I went out, I came back 5 minutes later, and he couldn't believe it. That's when we became like brothers. You see what I'm saying? When nothing he wouldn't do for me then. Yeah. He the one gave me the phone room out here. He was having problems with it. He said, man, look. He said, you think you can run my phone room? Man, I almost fell out of the shit.
The man that controls the phone controls the prison. And Nabal had control over the phones.
The phone room, that was the nucleus to this whole area right here. If you wanted your drugs, if you wanted your business, if you wanted your legal calls, man, you had to go through the phone room. He gave me all 6 of those phones and allowed me to hire my officer down in there, and I put Graham down here, the same the guy that brought the guns in for me. See?
The man that controls the phones controls everything.
I ran it. I was running. He didn't do nothing but lay back. You know? And I knocked somebody out. He looked the other way. You know, first week I started working now, I had to knock a dude out. Didn't want to come off the phone. I said, let me show y'all what it's gonna be with the lawyer. I had youngsters in there. They was vicious. I had my youngsters in there, the one that was good with the hand. It was on the boxing team and all that. What was her name, Victoria again? Is that her?
No, that's not her.
That's somebody else.
Yeah, somebody else. Hey, we can walk back to the car.
Yeah.
Tony Fortune, we started talking about him yesterday.
Yeah.
But towards the end, we said we would pick up.
Tony Porcher stayed in 3 down with me.
3.
On the small wall.
Okay.
Yeah, he hooked up with me and Tree. You know, when he came down from the jail, he was on juvenile range up in the jail. So he always aspired to be a good boxer. So Tree started training, because Tree was a boxer. You know, he was good with his hands. And I used to box, but I was a street fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't believe in the boxing. You know, I left it alone. You know, you gonna have to beat me without them gloves.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. So.
Okay.
So Tony, he got with me and Tree, and I moved him into the annex.
Mm-hmm.
Him, Brian McKee, Boogaloo Stewart, Michael Lucas, the Beast, Calvin Braxton, and Cole. We barely survived. Now, one little thing we got my tournament with the guys. Well, I had to set up with the guys again, because they were their women. You know, and they would watch the game, they would be over in the gym, and I had invited teams down from the street, like WOL, and Melvin's Crab House, and Southeast, Southwest Hustlers, you know, semi-pro team. They would come down, and we had our team in Lorton. And I would do a tournament for maybe about 3 or 4 months. That tournament would go through, because the games would be on every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So she declared that since M.L. Brown was gone, that she was going to shut my program down all the way around. And told me that my whole house was shut down. And I won't, you know, and I wasn't going to be able to get no drugs in this institution. She talked it real greasy to me. And I told her one thing. I said, okay. I said, I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do, Mrs. Makins. I said, I'm gonna shut this whole compound down. I said, that's what I'm gonna do. I said, you gonna give me my tournament and my picnic. That's the only thing the guys got to look forward to there. You don't have nothing else to look for. Ain't no other programs coming through here but mine. She thought it was a joke. I'm gonna tell you what I done. With my buddy Cut. I told Cut, I said, Cut, I need you on my back. I said, I don't need but one person on my back. I know the Cut was thorough. You know, he took hostages behind the wall. He took hostages up to the jail right after I escaped. Me and Cadillac, Roachy, Mace Brown, all us escaped out the jail. I put Cut on my back. I said, just watch my back. I'm gonna do the rest. 1,400 inmates out here. 600 of them was working in the industry. That's why they thought the administration and the industry workers thought that I could never shut it down, because they was making $200-300 a month, and they was sending that money home to their family members to take care of. So Cut said, well, how you gonna shut it down, boy? You know them guys in the industry ain't gonna go for it. And I said, Cut. I said, I remember when Cadillac, and Dilly, and Carl Kelly, and all of them used to ride. They used to go up in East Dormitory, man. They would start stabbing dudes, setting dudes' beds on fire, and they made them ride. I said, now I'm not gonna use that violent means to get the population, to mobilize the population. I said, but I'm gonna use that same theory. I said, I'm gonna go up into each dome. And I said, and I'm gonna get the leaders in those domes. And I'm gonna meet with the leaders. And I'm gonna explain to them exactly what I'm trying to do and why I'm trying to do it. Because of the conditions. And to get our tournament back. You know, and to get our picnic back that comes after the tournament, the finale.
And that's exactly what I did. I met right out here, under that tower. I stood out there under that tower for about 2 weeks straight, meeting with over 150 men, the leaders of all these dormitories. And they voted inside the dome. Every dome on this compound voted to shut this joint down. I issued one threat to control what we was doing. And all the leaders agreed on it. I said, go back, tell the men in your domes, if they come outside the dome, because I also implemented a food strike. It wasn't really a food strike, we just wasn't going in the kitchen. We was eating out our domes. I gave 2 weeks for everybody to get their packages in. They was allowing us to get 3 packages in a week. So I said, tell all your people to get your packages in, send your food package and stack up. Because we might be out of the kitchen for about a week or better. Look, I woke up, I was in 6 domes. I woke up, I went to the back of the dormitory and I looked out the window. Man, this place looked like a ghost town. I couldn't believe it. Nothing, absolutely nothing was moving. No inmates were moving. The only 2 inmates who were allowed to move was me and my man that had my back cut. They had incidents with dudes, because dudes were stuck up in the dome. They could come out on the yard inside the domes. The domes had backyards that was fenced in. So they could come out there and do a little rec, get their little rec on, play a little basketball or whatever. But coming outside the dome, that was off limit. You come outside the dome, your property, your locker, your bed, all that was gonna be set on fire and you weren't gonna be able to come back in that dormitory without being punished severely. That was the law. That was the law that I laid down right over here on this blacktop. That used to be a basketball court where you see 16 doms and 18 doms. That's 16 and 18 doms. There used to be a blacktop over there with that grass and you see them trees at. They used to play basketball over there. Yeah, shut it down. No one went to work for 5 days and no one came outside the dome for 3 days. And they only came outside the dome to go to the kitchen and go back into the dome. Because what happened, the men took it, exhausted their food supply and they started getting real rowdy. So I had to let them go to eat. So I went, me and Cut went to every dome out on the hill and told them, say, look, you go to eat, don't say nothing to them, because see, the COs was preparing the food. Don't say nothing to them COs, don't get into nothing with them. Go in there and eat that slop they got in there, and then come on back to the domes. When the federal judge, June Green, heard about what they was feeding us in there, you can go right to the archives, Washington Post archives. It was in June. No, yeah, I believe it was in June of the work stoppage. June 1995 work stoppage. It was in June when she told, she put in an article came out in the Post where she told the director of Lorton to feed the men a proper nutritious meal down there. That was during the work stoppage and that was during when no one was going in the kitchen. Now, how you gonna mention Lorton and not mention me? I don't know. Who else kept 1,400 men off the compound in their dorms? Who else kept 1,400 men from going to their visits? Who else kept 1,400 men from going into the kitchen to eat? I rest my case. I was with both of them too.
Oh yeah. Dang. So they basically, so that was like a visitation day, that day.
Yeah, it was a picnic.
Oh, that was the picnic day. Okay.
That was a fair.
Well, got you.
Yeah, where they had all type of like moon bouncers, and they had little ponies out here, for the kids.
Dang.
They were racing everywhere. They had food everywhere.
The fact that was even possible in a prison, man, it's crazy.
Yeah. I used to get this is where my picnic used to be at. After the tournament, let's get the finale up.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a step back.
Them, man. Yeah, you gotta tell them one of them is X-rated picture.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's X-rated.
Yeah.
Sister's breast is hanging out.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit, I wasn't the most likable dude because I was extremely aggressive. And that reputation came before me. You step on his toe, you don't say excuse me, he would smack you, break your jaw, or he gonna put that knife in you. That's just the type of person I was. I've been out here 20 years now. I lay back and I think about that, and I don't feel good about a lot of my behavior. A lot of my behavior I do feel good about, because I was justified. And when I done what I had to do in order to survive. This place now, they bring back so many memories, so many horrors down here. So much. You wouldn't believe. So many inmates, so many men got raped. So many of them got assaulted, killed. And when I think about it, think that I was right there in the mix with it. Controlling. I don't use that word lightly. I was controlling the flow of everything in Lorton. I was running the guards, the COs, the ones that I didn't have on my payroll. They was fearful of me. Nowhere in the history, I emphasize again, in Lorton, has anyone controlled Lorton for that amount of time, from 77 all the way up to 96.
Ms. Green, let me ask you this. So since you was here for a crime that you didn't commit, did the state or DC government like give you any money, anything?
No. The judge said he didn't believe her now.
Okay.
He believed her when she testified on me.
Back then?
And during the trial. Now she testified that she saw my brother. She said she never saw me.
So he's the one who
She heard my voice. She became somehow a voice expert. She heard my voice and she saw my brother. That's what they got her to change her statement to. At first initially she said she had her head in the pillow. She don't know who it was. After they pressured her, because they found my brother's thumbprint on a carton of cigarettes. So they got her to say that she saw him and that she heard my voice. And just on that evidence alone, they gave me 27 to life, and they gave my brother 30 to life.
Was she here too?
Was
your brother here?
Yeah, my brother was here. Yeah, my brother didn't stay. He passed. He passed. He never made it to the street. I went to the street after 25 years. He was still in, and he was up in Springfield. He died in Springfield, in the medical institution.
Did you actually know who committed the crime?
Huh?
Did you actually find out who committed the crime?
Oh, I knew who committed the crime. I knew who committed the crime.
Is that person still living?
He did. I just told you he did.
To your brother did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But all that's in the book. I tried to say.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, I tried to
it's
say.
Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
And the guy he was with,
He died in the early 80s.
This part of Nabal's life is called redemption.
So look, man, we're gonna let Mr. Owen say some words here, y'all, right before we go.
We receive our reward of Allah. His goodness. You know, this does something for my heart. And it enables me to repent from some of my wrongdoings in the past.
And how long you been doing it?
We've been doing this for some years now, boy. We haven't missed a beat. You know, we was doing it well before the pandemic and all through the pandemic. We haven't missed a beat. It don't make no difference how hard or how intense the pandemic got, the virus got, we maintain our business of coming out here in the community.
This part of Nabal's life is called redemption. 20 plus years in the free world without so much as a parking violation. Redemption. After serving a long stretch for a murder he didn't commit, one could say it made up for the things he got away with. No matter how you look at it, he made peace with it. And now he's serving and giving back to the same community from which he came, where he once robbed and hustled. So many bodies fell, football numbers given out in court. So many guys from Nabal's era that didn't make it. Redemption. A 70-plus young man that still got the drive, still active in a positive way. Resilient, from the trenches to redemption.